So just in those final seconds as the moon glides into place, it will mostly be dark, but then this bright, literally like a diamond ring will be seen, and we should catch that in this feed. And then after that, it will be the totality phase that lasts for just over 2 minutes where these telescopes are. So we'll have 2 minutes of being able to see the corona. And the corona is the atmosphere of the sun that doesn't shine in visible light of its own accord, but the light coming from the surface of the sun that we can still just see as this crescent, it comes up into the sun's atmosphere and gets scattered. And that's why it looks very light and very pearlescent during the phase of totality, as this scattered light comes our way.
Yeah, and I'm looking. Oh, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Luce. I'm seeing some updated imagery, Paul, coming in on the homepage now from Matt, just so you know.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a fabulous image, actually. Yeah. So anybody who's looking at the homepage, and that's the best place to look at SLU events, take a look at Matt's latest image. This is going to be perfectly timed for us when we're just, how far away? Only 10 minutes or so away from totality. In fact, it's 8-9 minutes.
Yeah,
so that was a good time for Matt to get back on, wasn't it, Lucy?
Absolutely. We do not want to miss this last phase.
I know.
And,
I know.
I can't wait to see what the shapes in the atmosphere are like. And I was thinking back, there's a fantastic drawing, so a pencil drawing of an eclipse that took place in 1860. And when you look at that eclipse, it has a very different or very surprising structure. I mentioned earlier that what we should see in the atmosphere are these radial features stretching away from the sun. But in this 1860 drawing, they saw a circular feature. And it just so happened that at the point of totality, the sun produced an eruption. And, oh, there's some feedback there, I think.
No, I can hear you fine.
Oh, you can? Okay. So I'm hoping very much that there'll be something unexpected.
Unusual, yeah, a flare or something
Yeah.
out of the ordinary.
Yeah,
Lucy,
we're getting another... Oh, Paul, another image is getting up there. I'm just letting people know that it's now updating quickly. Go ahead, Paul.
Okay. Lucy, one of the things that I'm interested in is obviously there are things called annular eclipses as well. But obviously there's a zone there, depending on where the moon is in its kind of elliptical orbit.
Paul might have dropped out. Lucy, can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, so Paul might have dropped out, looks like, but we're looking at this live. Go ahead, Lucy. I don't know if you could understand his direct question or not, but here we are getting close now. What phase are we in right now? This is coming into close to totality right now, correct?
Yeah, that's right. So we're only a few minutes away now. I think 6 minutes away from totality, and the sun is. I mean, this last phase seems to go quite quickly. You know, you feel like you've waited so long to see the totality phase. So very, very shortly, you'll see. You'll be seeing the sun's disk just get smaller and smaller and smaller, a thinner and a thinner crescent, and then you'll have the diamond ring effects, and then we'll be into the totality phase, which will last about 2 minutes and 10 or 11 seconds, I think, from where this telescope is. So that will be the time, the very, very special time when we'll be looking for the features in the sun's atmosphere. We'll be looking to see what the structure is, looking to see if it looks as we expect it to do from the prediction. And the prediction says that there'll be lots of radial features, but lots of sort of arched features at the bottom of those radial structures that we call streamers, and that they should form a ring all the way around the sun, so fairly symmetrical all the way around the sun.
Now that might be a little bit more difficult, Lucy, won't it, if we've got any kind of cloud coverage?
That's right, it will be.
Paul, what is that other feed you're looking at? It's kind of a greenish-looking weirdo feed.
Yeah, it's another filtered feed coming in. It's a live feed. Unfortunately, there's no information on it. It does look to me. It is a live feed, but I'm not sure whether that's in Australia because it's not looking as total, and it's also slightly distorted, that one. So certainly the one that I'm showing into the Hangout is the best. But don't forget that Matt Francis now has got his 4G connection. We're really, really stretching the technology at the moment. He's on 4 Mile Beach, just north of Cairns at a place called Port Douglas. There's no normal internet connectivity there, so he's rigged out with a 4G dongle, and I'll tell you, it's stressful enough providing live images into one of these live shows, let alone when you're trying to do that using mobile technology, and you're on a beach with some beautiful golden sand, which is lovely if you're there for a bit of sunbathing, but not when you've got all of your expensive IT equipment and telescopes and cameras and things like that around.
Right. Absolutely. So, guys, we're getting close to totality. I think I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Green, let her talk us through what's happening here, and then I'll jump on after she's done. So go ahead, have at it, Dr. Green, as the moon takes over.
Yeah, so we've just got a few minutes to go now, and at the moment we're still having to use filters to reduce the glare of the sun's dazzling light. But during totality, am I right in saying, Paul, that those filters will be taken off? So then we'll be able to see the faint lights being scattered from the sun's atmosphere.
Absolutely, and it's one of the really big tricks in photographing an eclipse, because obviously the exposure levels are changing throughout the eclipse. And yes, you're right. At this very last minute, you have to time perfectly when to whip your filter off the front of your telescope or camera without actually disturbing the equipment and losing the pointing, of course. And then literally after that 2 minutes of totality, you've got to do the opposite and put that filter back on, and that's a pretty nerve-wracking stage of photographing an eclipse as well.
Yeah, so the moon now is carrying on in its orbit around the Earth, and it's getting to the point where it's going to be perfectly aligned in the sky with the sun. So the moon is 400 times closer to us than the sun, and 400 times smaller than the size of the sun in the sky. So we just have this perfect matching size at this point in time. Millions of years in the future, as the moon's orbit has changed, we won't have this matching of the sizes of the sun and the moon in the sky. So we have to humanity has to make the most of it now. This is a very, very special time.
Lucy, we often hear that. How long is it? Do you know if somebody's actually done the calculation of when the last total eclipse will be?
They have done, and I forget, it's of the order of hundreds of millions of years. So
Oh wow! So we've got a time yet then.
Yeah, who knows if humans will still be around at that point in time. But look, the sun is getting smaller and smaller, thinner and thinner crescent here, so I'm waiting for the moment when the filter gets whipped off. And I'm sure everyone on the beaches in Australia is now making their judgment call as well. They'll be looking at the sun still through their filters, and they'll be wanting to know the same. When is it that we can take the filter off and look at the sun without any level of protection? So it'll be interesting to see if the diamond ring actually is seen here as well through the filter.
Yes, of course. That's a really important bit of that, because that's kind of halfway between wanting the filter and not wanting the filter. So that's going to be quite a judgment call.
Yeah.
So what is going? Where's the rest of the sun? I mean, I'm trying to understand what's going on here. Is it just? Maybe you can help us understand what's going on right now.
Yeah, so it's being blocked out by the moon, and so there's still a little bit of the moon that's overhanging on the other side of the sun, as it were. And in a matter of seconds now, the moon will perfectly fit over the disk of the sun in the sky. So they match very, very closely during a total solar eclipse. Afterwards we can talk about different kinds of eclipses, but now we're just seeing the final seconds before the moon perfectly fits over the sun, so that nothing else of the sun can be seen now, just that tiny thin wedge, and I can see it going.
Right, it's just there it goes.
It's a few pixels.
Is this technically totality happening right
there
now?
There it's gone. Yes. So
there it is.
You see the diamond ring. So this is
there's
the
diamond ring.
Absolutely perfect timing.
Stunning.
Oh yeah, look at that.
And there it goes. Fantastic. So now we're in totality. We have 2 minutes to make the most of this and look at the structures. And you can see already these linear structures coming away from the sun's disk. So right now the moon is perfectly fitting over what we call the photosphere, the bright disk of light of the sun. And we're seeing the very faint atmosphere of the sun, which is dominated by charged particles and magnetic fields that we don't normally get to see with our eyes because the photosphere is so light. That is beautiful.
Oh, that is cool. So we're
and
looking
that diamond ring effect that we saw, Lucy, that is the last vestige of light that we can see going through a valley, isn't it? In the valleys and mountains on the limb of the moon.
That's right. So the moon has a lumpy surface. It has impact craters and valleys. It has flat regions and high regions. And so you're right, it's not a perfect circular disk in the sky, and bits of sun's light can come through those valleys just at the very seconds before totality. That is. And
we're going to see it again, are we, at the end of totality?
Yes, very good point. So then in a minute and a half's time, the reverse will happen of what we've just seen previously. So the diamond ring will appear the other side and the moon will start to slip off, and then we'll see the crescent sun that will get bigger and bigger and bigger until the moon is gone in about an hour's time.
Wow.
Pat, I've just had a request. If you could make the feed full screen. I don't know whether it's still reverting back to us when we talk, but if you could just make that the full screen in the Hangout if possible.
Yeah, it should be. I mean, I have it selected, so it should be. On my viewer, it is. So, is it? Okay. Are you seeing it? Are you seeing it otherwise?
No, I see the Hangout in the same way that you do. That was just a message that I had through on Skype from somebody. But look, over to you, Lucy.
Oh, and there it is. Oh, that was just too quick, wasn't it? That was far.
Oh man, there it goes. Oh my gosh.
And bang, they've got the filter back on the telescope immediately. So that's some superb work down there. It really is.
Absolutely. The photosphere is 1,000,000 times brighter than the faint corona, the faint atmosphere that we were just looking at. So you have to put your filter on. You have to put it on so that you don't damage your eyes if you're looking at the sun directly, and you have to put it on so that you can get safe images as well. You don't damage your camera and you don't overwhelm the camera with light and ruin your images. But my goodness, that was through so quickly.
It is.
So it'll be good later on to go back and have a look at some of those pictures and talk about the structure.
Well, I desperately hope that the folks down there on site actually got to see that through the cloud.
Right. Yeah, if you're just joining us, we are providing a live feed from Port Douglas on our what we call our SLU viewer homepage. But the weather down there was a little suspect, and we were having problems imaging it consistently. But we were able to pull another feed from another location to provide it to you live. So anyway, what we want to do is we're going to keep talking right now. This is what we call we're moving out of the total solar eclipse.
Well, it is in that location, Pat. Sorry to interrupt, but you need to look at the other feed as well, because that's actually just at totality now. So in different locations, totality happens at slightly different times.
There you go.
That's right. So the shadow cast by the moon, the blocking out of the sun's light, casts a shadow on the Earth, and that is now racing its way eastwards. So it's gone over Australia, and now it's heading into the Pacific at over 1,000 miles an hour. And if there's anyone out there on ships, which I'm sure there is, they'll be seeing the eclipse now as well.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, we'll pull this feed in right now as well as we look at these feeds coming in from the total solar eclipse. We're with Dr. Lucy Green, solar researcher out of the UK. Our team on site was in Port Douglas with Bob Berman. They jumped off to enjoy the solar eclipse. I believe they will come back after the event takes place, so we'll talk to them about the post-game report. And we're with Paul Cox, SLU Outreach Coordinator. Guys, while we have you on here, I just want to point out that we all do have a special offer on the SLU.com homepage. We are giving out a free telescope today with membership, so please click that free telescope button on the homepage of SLU.com and learn more about that. You can get that telescope in time for the holidays, as well as have that membership right in hand. And any membership will have a quarterly, yearly, or 2-year membership. where you can command our robotic observatories around the world and image the sky as you please. So it'd be great. We're also coming out with an iPad app shortly next month. It's an amazing app that's I've been playing around with it. We're still in the testing stages, but we expect to have it out in the iPad store, iTunes store, in December some point. So keep an eye on that. If you're not familiar with SLU, we do live events all the time. So keep coming back to the homepage. You can see the next event's already counting down, and weather permitting, we do them on all different types of subjects and topics. So Dr. Green, what's going on right now is the eclipse now, the moon, at least on one feed, is starting to move away from the sun. Is the shadow heading out to the ocean? Is that what's going on?
Yeah, that's right. So the shadow is now racing out eastwards, and on the SLU website there is an animation that shows you where the shadow is now racing to. But do we have Bob back there? Is he able to?
Yes,
how did it go?
Bob, you look like you've been through. Tell us what happened. Tell us. Give us.
Oh man! By the grace of God, a hole opened up, and the total eclipse was seen. I'd say the first 40 seconds or so, a cloud covered the sun just as totality began and the stars came out. And even though it was powerful, there was no totality. But for the final perhaps minute and a quarter, the sun was out through a hole, and at our location at least we saw it. Looking unfortunately towards the south, towards Cairns. I'm not sure if those poor people saw it at all, but we got it from here. Matt also asks if you, because he kept sending stuff, I hope you got the images from him.
I don't know. We got a few. Maybe Paul can tell us what was actually received from him. I don't know what actually appeared, but we got some of them for sure, Bob. But we also,
unfortunately, we did. Yeah, we didn't get the total, I'm afraid, from Matt.
Because I tell you, we were having 4G. Of course, we're isolated here, and we were having 4G transmission problems in the last moment. To everybody who is listening, and there's an image of the eclipse I see that you have up. I just urge you again to see it in person. Seeing it on a screen is like trying to fall in love on the screen. Well, maybe people do that. You know, there's dating services and stuff. But I'm telling you, this is one of those live things that you got to be there. And so watch for the next ones. Of course, Lou will cover it because there's a lot of science behind it. We have the wonderful people like Lucy Green who will tell us what's what with it and who know the ins and outs of it. But this is something travel to, you know. Take out a second mortgage, sell the kids, sell the home, sell the kids for lab experiments, whatever it takes, and travel to see a total solar eclipse. It's going to be a few years now before a likely one, because the next two are likely to be cloudy, and in 2014 there won't be any anywhere in the world. But we're going to have two coming up in 2015, and then again in 2016. I'm sorry, in 2016 and in 2017 there will be good ones coming up. But here we are, people are milling around. Of course, the eclipse is still occurring. It's a partial eclipse post-totality, but people are already starting to leave. You'd think that you'd stand around for the rest of it, but the hour-long partial eclipse, after seeing totality, this has not too much appeal.
So, Bob, tell us.
Jump in here?
Yeah, is that Dave?
Yeah, hi, from New Zealand here. Great show, enjoying it here. We've got lovely blue skies in New Zealand. Woke up to a nice clear sky this morning. Just wondering, we're getting a lot of requests. We've got people here at the observatory, and we're wondering if we can go full screen on these lovely feeds that we're seeing, please, and listen to the commentary in the background mainly, especially while the highlights are on.
The best way of doing that, Dave, is to make the Hangout full screen.
Okay, so
if you're on the home page, I'll try and show it in now. You go down to the Hangout.
What I mean is in the main viewer there, like you've got just before your head pull SLU.com displayed. If you can go to the main feed, the main viewer, that would be really great. For whichever one is showing the most eclipse.
Yeah, here's one that Paul's got from NASA that looks a little cloudy. That's streaming in right now that we're showing. I'm going to go ahead and turn off, Paul, the other feed on the home page right now. Unless you see, is Matt, you having any success with Matt at all with the live feed coming in? Oh, yeah, there he is. He's got one up right now. You see that one that just came? He got totality, right? You saw it. You see it on the home page? That's pretty cool. It should flick over any second, guys. I mean, I'm selecting